Have you ever thought to yourself, I want to play a Super Mario game that's not quite as good as the original? Well, boy, do I got some games to show you today. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 of the most amazing and unknown Super Mario clones across several systems. This is not your average list. I can about guarantee there are Super Mario clones on this list that not even the biggest Mario fans know about, but they should. These games on my list today are all retro games in some capacity. Most of these games were created more than 20 years ago at this point, so there's no new stuff here. Some of these are absolutely bonkers, some very bizarre, while others are exceptionally impressive. I've got 5 of these games to show you today, so we'll take a look at them one by one, and I'll tell you a little bit about each game. Let's check them out. So coming up first today, we've got Super Mario World for the 8-bit NES. Famicom to be specific. Yes, this does actually exist. This particular version of Super Mario World was created by a Taiwanese pirate game developer, Hummer Team, who were known for developing higher than normal quality pirate games. Usually pirate games were very poorly developed. They were rushed and were oftentimes just ROM hacks of existing games. Now the Hummer Team would usually take their pirating a bit more seriously, creating original game engines for their stolen IPs. You could tell there was some real inspiration behind a lot of their games, and some real work went into them. They weren't the best quality, there's no doubt they were pirate games, but they were surprisingly better than you would imagine. Super Mario World was no exception. This game is entirely playable and more feature-rich than you would expect. The game's got a lot of the same elements that makes the real Super Mario World so special. Just here, they're not as well executed. For example, you can fly with the feather cape, shoot fireballs, even ride Yoshi. None of the levels in this game are exact copies of the original. The game's only got 28 of the 96 levels in the original game, though most of the levels it does have were cut down even further, or entirely new levels inspired by ones from the original game. The physics in this game are somewhat awkward, the biggest pain being that no matter what speed Mario is moving, as soon as you jump, you'll suddenly slow down in the air, and that's very un-Mario-like. One of the things that makes Mario a great game is how you can throw your weight around and it feels so solid. This version did not master this aspect of Mario, but we can kinda fix it, somewhat. If you use the Game Genie code USUPLAS, it'll fix the slowing down in the air issue, making the game a lot easier to play. Now if you compare this game to the Nintendo original, it looks absolutely ridiculous. The game's nowhere near as polished as the official game. The sprites look either ripped from other 8-bit Mario games, or hand-copied with the occasional mistake. There are ROM hacks and fan projects today that aim to improve on the graphics and playability of this game, which might be worth looking into if you want to try this one out. Overall, I'd say this game is pretty impressive. If you're able to accept this game for what it is, and not directly compare this to the official Super Nintendo version, I think you'd be surprised with how fun this one can be. There's a lot of stuff here. If you're gonna check this out, like I said, use that Game Genie code USUPLAS, and make sure you get the version of the game with all 7 worlds in it. There are 2 versions of this game floating around the web these days, and one of them is a very short, incomplete, pre-release version, so make sure you get the good one. Next, we have Super Mario World DX for MS-DOS. This game was created by German developer BB Software back in 2002. Now that's interesting because this was well past the point where most people had left DOS for Windows gaming. Although this game never made it out of a pre-release version, this game was surprisingly feature-rich and contained many of the stage types as the original. You had the cave level, the ghost house, the underwater stage. There are only 5 levels in total that made it into this demo, but it's a good taste of what this game would have had to offer. I guess Nintendo felt threatened enough by this version that Nintendo did what Nintendo do. They killed it by threatening legal action. And less than a year after Super Mario World DX came out, BB Software took it down. I scoured the old BB Software pages that were captured on archive.org and found that there was a level editor once released for this game. Unfortunately, the level editor was not saved in the archive, and if it wasn't for savvy gamers keeping their downloads, we wouldn't even have the main game that we do today. Thank you, data hoarders. The way this game handles is very impressive. The Mario physics seem very close to the original game, capturing a lot of the subtleties of the original that make the game feel pretty close to the Nintendo version that we all love. You can tell this game was still in the works because it's missing a lot of the stuff the Super Nintendo version had. Capes aren't here, the overworld map isn't here. Like I said, there's only 5 stages here, about 20 minutes of gameplay. The graphics here are very faithful to the Nintendo original. I'm pretty sure the author just copied the graphics pixel by pixel to create this. They did a good job too because it looks just like the Nintendo Super Mario World, even including transparency effects. Most of the sound effects are present. They too seem to be directly copied from the original game. The music, however, is very lacking. Most of the time there is no music, but for some reason the Ghost House does have music. Probably just didn't get that far into it. Overall, this is an interesting conversion that really could have been something special had it more time to be developed. It's a shame we never got that level editor, because I know there's a lot of people out there like me who would have loved to dig into that. Still, an interesting demo that most people had no idea ever existed. Next up, we have Superboy for the MSX home computer. This one was created back in 1989 by a company called Zemina, a pirate game developer from South Korea. Zemina actually had quite the library of unlicensed pirate games. Copyright laws in South Korea were so jacked up back then that Zemina was able to produce copyright infringing games like this, all while releasing actual licensed games as well. They weren't great games, but you can tell they did want to be taken seriously, and as such, some effort was put into the development of these games. Unfortunately, Superboy is lacking a lot of what the original Super Mario Bros. Had going for it. For instance, you can't kick turtle shells because you just take them out right away when you jump on them. And also the length of this game is pretty lacking at only 4 worlds. The layout of the levels sort of follow the official game, but for whatever reason deviate into kind of their own thing, with each stage retaining influence of the original levels. To be completely honest, I thought this game had some good ideas. I wouldn't say it's in the same league as Nintendo's game, but I really had a lot of fun playing through this one. It's hard to tell because of the janky level scrolling, but there is definitely some underlying code in this game to control the physics of Mario, like how you don't just come to a complete stop immediately when you let go of the D-pad. They've got some momentum here like in the actual game, and controlling Mario here isn't that hard. It's pretty fun actually. The color palette in this clone looks much less detailed, a lot more dull compared to the official game. The MSX hardware was more limited in this regard. Another weak point of this game is the level scrolling. The scrolling here is pretty chunky and not very smooth. I'm actually surprised that there was any scrolling here at all, since the original MSX lacks any sort of hardware-based scrolling. It was interesting that Zemina decided to include scrolling, instead of just taking it screen by screen like in Super Mario Special, the officially licensed version of Super Mario Bros. For computer, which was released in South Korea at the time. The music is weird. I don't like it much. It doesn't sound dreadful, but it doesn't sound good either. It's sort of like they were trying to match it as best as they could. It's close, but not quite there. Overall, I'd say if you're into these wacky Super Mario clones, Superboy is definitely an obscure Super Mario clone worth checking out. Next, we have Super Mario Bros. For the Apple IIGS. Now this here is an open source homebrew version of Super Mario, created by one guy, Lucas Scharenbroich, over the span of about 6 years, starting back in 1996. It was never finished, but has a surprisingly playable amount of the game. On his website, Lucas mentioned that he created this game as an experiment to see if he could create Super Mario Bros. For the Apple IIGS. From what I gather, this was mainly an educational experiment where he learned how to tackle all of the different elements that go into a game like this. Most of the gameplay elements have been implemented in this version. Some things like platforms move a little bit differently than you'd expect. But overall, I am very surprised with how much of the original game made it over to Lucas's version. Overall, the level design is very faithful to the Nintendo original. I even checked for the correct placement of several of the hidden blocks, and unlike most other clones, it did indeed have them. Only minor changes were made to the level design, as well as the omission of the warp zone at the end of 1-2. I think the warp zones were not included because the game itself is technically only a demo. It was never finished past World 2-4. As far as the physics and feel of the game, as you'd expect, it's not as good as the original. Mario's controls feel a lot more loose than the original. It's harder to stop when you've got momentum, and the controls themselves feel a bit too touchy. Just a slight tap on the directional keys make you move too much. The slow momentum and touchy controls make maneuvering with any sort of precision exceptionally difficult. The graphics here look very similar to the official Super Mario, but I would not say it's a pixel-perfect representation of the original. The artwork is all slightly different than Nintendo's version, as well as the aspect ratio being a bit different here on the 2GS, so it all does look a little squished. The sound is one of the worst parts of this game. There are no actual sound effects here, and the only music in the game is the same tune repeated over and over the entire time you're playing. It's maddening. It sounds like some wacky circus music, and let me tell you, with the difficulty of this damn game, that music is an absolute slap in the face to an already irritated gamer. But the author did make it easy to change out the music. I just wonder why they didn't bother putting in some actual Super Mario music. Kudos to Lucas for creating such a fun Super Mario clone. I just wish it was longer. But with it being open source, it's entirely possible for someone to come along and finish up this game. Or maybe even Luke. Okay, the last Super Mario game I got for you today is a weird one. This is Super Mario Bros. For the shareware classic Commander Keen on MS-DOS. This is awesome! So this is a Commander Keen mod created by hacker Samiji back in 2010. The author said they created this mod to give Commander Keen a Super Mario Bros. Feeling. This one reminds me a lot of the story of how legendary developer id Software had made a Super Mario clone themselves to try and sell it to Nintendo. That didn't work out for them, so they retooled their demo and released it as Commander Keen. In this game, you've got to make your way through 30 levels to try and stop Wario and rescue Luigi and Princess Peach. The gameplay here has not been altered from the standard Commander Keen game. All the buttons are the same, as well as the movement in the game. Really, the only difference here is that the levels and sprites have been drastically changed from the originals. Like I mentioned, the author claimed to have made this mod to give the game a, quote, Super Mario feeling. And in my opinion, it definitely does accomplish that. I feel it. There is an impressive amount of work that's gone into this, and even though it's limited to the Commander Keen engine, the author was able to fit a surprisingly big variety of levels, stuff that you wouldn't expect, like underwater levels, and they're all very difficult. This hack is not well suited for anyone but the most experienced Keen players. The game plays much differently than you'd expect. The mushroom acts as your pogo stick and lets you high jump. The blaster pistol is your fire flower. And the thing that constantly throws me off here is the fact that you can't jump on Goombas. For some reason, they insta-kill you. The Goombas are the worst part of this hack. I don't know about you guys, but when I see a Goomba, I want to jump on it. It's programmed into my brain at this point. And since you can't jump on them here, it leads to a lot of frustration. But hey, you can jump on the Koopa Troopas. The graphics in this hack look, for the most part, pixel perfect. Commander Keen was an EGA game, which supports a lot of colors, so everything does look pretty close to the NES original. Although for some reason, we once again have a yellow Super Mario. If you want to run this game yourself, make sure you launch the game using the Commander Keen Patcher, which comes with a download. If you don't launch it with the patcher, it'll load in all messed up, looking like something out of one of my Game Genie videos. Just type in ck1 patch smb1.pat to launch the game. I really enjoyed what I played of this hack. It strays kind of far from the standard Super Mario formula. However, if you're a Commander Keen and a Super Mario fan like me, you're gonna love this one. This is an incredibly difficult mod that you have to play differently than you would Super Mario. Crazy platforming here. If you're up for a challenge, I recommend checking this game out. And there we have it, 5 unusual Super Mario clones. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like on it to let me know. And if you're new to this channel, I make all sorts of cool videos like this, so hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications so you'll know when I upload a new video. Thanks so much for your time today. I'll see you guys soon in the next video. Goodbye.